Hello, lawyers, and welcome to this episode of the WILL podcast. This is a short solo episode where I talk about anxiety. I share a definition of anxiety that you might not be using that I think will be extremely helpful to you. I also share 3 tips and tools that you can use in an instant to help you reduce your anxiety, regain calm, and bring that prefrontal cortex back online. Where there's a will, there's a way. Let's get you going on your way and dive in. So this episode of the WILL podcast is for you if you experience a jolt of anxiety when you wake up in the middle of the night thinking maybe you've made some career-altering mistake, or you forgot to file something, or when you get an email from that partner or that client that makes your heart almost stop, your palms sweat, and sends that jolt of adrenaline and anxiety through your body, then this episode is for you. So over the years, I've spoken with over 600 women lawyers individually, confidentially, and they often share about their experience with anxiety. They say things like, I didn't used to be so anxious, or I've always run a little bit anxious, but this has made it so much worse. The anxiety is really getting to me, the stress. So I want to name this and name that they often say it with a sense of shame that they have some anxiety. So there's something called like the double arrows. So it's like when you experience like the anxiety and then you shame yourself for feeling the anxiety and thinking there's something wrong with you for experiencing this feeling and having it stop you in your tracks. So in this episode, I'm going to discuss how I define anxiety, what I share with the women lawyers I work with about this, because it is so common, it is so pervasive, and I'm going to give you some practical tools to use in the moment to calm your anxiety. Please note, I am not a licensed mental health provider. If you need additional mental health services, of course, seek that out. Seek out treatment. Seek out lots of different kinds of support. I work with many of the women I work with are in therapy. Huge therapy fan. So get support as you need it. Okay, the first thing I want to talk about is what is anxiety. So anxiety is your body's physiologic response to the perception of danger. So back in the day when our bodies were evolving and we lived in caves, and an animal might come into the cave in the middle of the night, right? Or there's, you might be out gathering food or water and hearing a rustle in the bushes. And those were things that made our nervous system respond and send our body into fight, flight, or freeze. And during that time, blood rushes when we're in flight. Our blood rushes to our limbs and we run away as quickly as we can, right? Our nervous system sends blood away from the brain to the extremities so we can fight or freeze effectively or run effectively. It sends blood away from our internal organs and from our skin. It sends our brain offline. Our IQ drops by as much as 50%, and your auditory and visual acuity go up, right? But your brain is pretty much offline. You're really in that animal part of our brain response. So not in your prefrontal cortex, the front part, the higher reasoning, thinking part of your brain. Okay, so that's what happens in your body. But now we no longer, are hopefully sleeping in caves or, gathering water at the river and being alert to danger. But the danger, the perception of danger, I should say, comes from the email from the partner who makes your heart stop. The call from the client at 6:00 as you're trying to shut down for the day. The deadline that is looming that you might be procrastinating on. So these are all the things and more, right? So make a note for yourself. What are some of the things for you that trigger anxiety? And get super specific, like I just did. It's that one partner. I once spoke with a woman who said she had a client. She was already taking 2 kinds of anxiety medication. And then when she had to call this one client, she took a third. She took a third kind of anxiety medication. I could not make this up. So notice, what that is, that trigger of danger for you. Okay. And I want to offer you that your body is is being a body. Anxiety is not, it doesn't initiate in your brain. It doesn't initiate as a thought. It initiates as a physiologic response to the perception of danger. Just like if you were to eat some bad shellfish, I've got my friend Michelle who once ate mussels. She will never eat mussels again, right? She does not blame herself for eating the mussels. She blames the mussels made her incredibly sick. She got terrible food poisoning, throwing up, diarrhea. You don't blame your body when you have food poisoning. The same, I want you to just notice your body as being a body and giving you information when it goes into anxiety. All right. So I share this with you in the hopes that you can be more compassionate with yourself, that you can say, oh, okay, there I go again. My body's triggered. I feel triggered. I feel an anxiety response. I am feeling these physiologic sensations, and get clear on just not just who or what is your trigger or some of your triggers, because we all have more than one, but get clear on what is the physiologic response in your body. Do your hands tingle? Do your legs get tense? Or, what are your unique responses, so that you can start to notice, you can elevate your noticing so you can bring it back down. So I'll share some tools on how to bring it back down in just a moment. But I want you just to notice that, right? And I share this also so that, one, you can increase that compassion for yourself and just be like, okay, I haven't done anything wrong. My body's having a response to this situation. And two, oh God, so many of the women I have spoken with and work with have health issues that are related. I do believe are related, and they do believe are related to being under a state of constant stress and fight, flight, or freeze. Our bodies are not designed to live in this perpetual state. Your body is designed to do this. And think about an antelope, right? When it gets hunted by a lion, it runs fast. If it outruns the lion, and then it gives a shake off, right? And so our bodies are designed to do this in these short bursts, but not an extended period of time. And I want to share with you, if you are experiencing weird rashes, stomach and digestive issues, irritable bowel syndrome, heart palpitations, hair falling out, weird things that you can't that aren't getting diagnosed by a doctor. I spoke to a woman once. She had made partner recently. She was the only female partner in her firm. She was the mom of 2 young children. And she was having chronic stomach issues. She had been going to the doctors for months and months, and they couldn't figure out what it was. And I offered her, I said, it might be the stress and the anxiety you're under. Can you talk to your doctors about that? So I want you to know that if you're experiencing some health issues, oh my God, just rashes, skin clearing, so many things, that this is because your body is sending blood to the extremities. It's not sending blood to the digestive tract and your skin and the places it needs to more often be, right? And I don't want you to beat yourself up for this. Again, this is the kind of culture you might be working in, demands this kind of instant response, always be available. But just know that if you're experiencing some health things and mental health symptoms, that perpetuated situational anxiety might really be at the root of this. And I say situational anxiety very intentionally, because most people don't experience this kind of anxiety when they don't work in workplaces where the culture is so high pressure, so high demand, so all or nothing. And I spoke with a woman recently who said, I didn't used to be an anxious person. I don't think that's really who I am. And I have seen so many women, when they leave an environment that is contributing significantly to their stress and anxiety, their anxiety decreases, right? If you don't have the saber-toothed tiger, you're not going to have the reaction to it. So again, I don't want you to blame yourself. You are where you are. And I just want to share this information with you, that maybe you don't just run anxious. Maybe there's nothing wrong with you. Maybe there's something that's not a fit for you in the situation that you are currently in. All right. So I want to share a few tools now to help you decrease your anxiety in an instant, as quickly as possible, in a moment, without Yes, go to therapy. Yes, talk to your therapist about this. Get help. But in that very moment. Okay, so first we're going to start with some somatic tools, body-based tools. Since anxiety is a somatic response to the perception of danger, we're going to start in the body. Okay, so the first one is hands on your heart. So you put your left hand on your heart, your right hand on top. And this one is from Mel Robbins' book, The High Five Habit. I will link to it in the show notes. And you take a deep breath. And when you press on your heart space, you're actually pressing on the vagus nerve, which runs, it's the central nerve that runs our whole nervous system. And just take a few deep breaths and just feel your breath, your body rising, falling, and repeat these 3 phrases. You can repeat it silently. And if you're on a Zoom call, maybe block your video and just do this for a moment. I am safe. I am okay. I am loved. And there's a WILL member I've worked with for a long time, and she loves this. This is, I'm like, oh, Susan, let's do this one. And she's like, oh yeah, let's do it. I love it. I am safe. I am okay. I am loved. And you can sort of, a useful tool also is to scale the anxiety. So, before you do it, maybe your anxiety is at like a 9 or a 10, and do this 3 times and then check again. Where is it? Is it a 7? Is it a 6? Did it go down any amount? Do it a few more times. Let's do one last one. I am safe. I am okay. I am loved. Yes, you are. All right. Another somatic tool that you can do under the desk. If you can't block your video, I want to give you one. If you're like on a call, it's driving you, is to take some deep breaths and just put your cup, take one hand, let's say you take your left hand and you cup the soft underbelly of your wrist, like the soft underside of your wrist. And you just cup one hand in the palm of the other. You just let this upper wrist go slack and just breathe. And this also calms your nervous system. Do that for 3 breaths and then switch. I'm taking 3 nice long deep breaths. I invite you to join me in that. All right, beautiful. Last one. Okay. And finally, I'm going to end with a cognitive tool. So that's now that you've brought your nervous system back down, now that you've brought your prefrontal cortex, your higher thinking abilities back online, I invite you to distance yourself from the experience of anxiety, to not identify with it, i.e., to not make it part of your identity, to watch your language. Our words are super important. So to not say things like, I'm an anxious person, I am anxious, but instead to try something like this. I experience anxiety. Wow, that was a big jolt of anxiety I experienced. I am experiencing it right now. Do you see the difference? Do you feel the difference between I am anxious as part of who you are, and I have anxiety from time to time. I have anxiety when that partner calls me. I have anxiety, and I'm working on learning how to reduce it. All right. So that's a mini episode, a mini lesson. I want you to know you are not alone in dealing with anxiety. If you want more help around this, I'm so happy to have you listening to the podcast. Let me know what you think about this little episode. I have so many ideas and things that I could bring to you, little tools like this. Thanks so much.